we don't focus on one stock. We learned that a possessive focus on one stock is very bad for you. Go find a way to make some money and come back when you can make some money. When you have enough money for more than one stock. You got all your money in some stupid stock, you know, get some food stamps or something so you can afford a second one. Then you can diversify a little bit. You know, at least you have 3 stocks or something. Bare minimum. If you're long one stock, I heard there are people taking out loans to buy Cassava. Because look, a lot of people are LARPing. No, I'm gonna keep it real. A lot of you are LARPing. You're LARPing like you're a hedge fund manager, but you got 12 grand in one stock. And all you do is post about that stock. And you're praying that stock doubles. 𝗔𝗲𝗏𝗧𝗏𝗏, great company. Hasn't done well lately, right? I mean, still an impressive company. That was a really interesting thing from Mark, that there was no tech bubble. It was a telecom bubble. I don't necessarily agree. I'm not gonna disagree with the OG, but because he kind of lived through it better than anybody. I think there was an out-and-out bubble. It certainly was most pronounced in telecom and telecom equipment, but there's no doubt there was a bubble back then. I was there. I remember it as well. Now, his point is more important than the quibbling over definitions. The point is that the internet made it, and that, if anything, the bubble wasn't big enough. You know, the problem with bubbles is you don't know who the player is going to be that wins. It's usually a 1 or 2 or 5 or 10 players take all system. It's not a, you know, everybody wins just because I'm an internet stock. And most of the companies from back then didn't make it. And most of the companies from today aren't going to make it. You know, there might be a handful that make it, but most of them won't. I think the China rally, I don't know if it'll continue or not, but it's really well timed by our viewers who asked about Alibaba and Baidu. And I basically said these things are 2 or 3 times earnings. Now they're a little higher, but still pretty cheap. Now, China's also got some growth problems, and basically they're good stocks even if they never grow again, they're good stocks. But if China's about to begin a profound 20, 30-year decline, they're not good stocks. There is no good stock for China. If China's going to rebound, they're really good stocks, right? Man, Atlassian is such a great company. Shout out to all my Atlassian folks. You know who you are. Some of the best devs in the world. Now, what do I know about lithium? Come on, why would I look at a lithium stock? China and Japan are 3x in GDP per capita? Yeah. I don't think China will ever get to American GDP per capita. Eventually, I think the central planning is probably going to hurt them. The lack of entrepreneurship is going to hurt them. You know, do you see that entrepreneurship is down like 90% in China? Atlassian's not a monopoly. No, these are pretty simple products. Anybody can make these even by themselves. And I'm not sure I trust them to actually give us an interim analysis. They've been saying that we're going to get one forever. If you look at the old press releases, they're always just around the corner. I'm not going to give you the expiration date. Just short the common stock. That's what I do. You want me to do the whole trade for you? How much more do I want? I give you a 90% return, and you want everything. You want me to do everything for you. Stocks are more dynamic than bonds. The bond market is bigger than the stock market. The bond market is seen as more of a professionals market. But you're absolutely right that it's bigger than the stock market. It's a very interesting market. It's just a very different market. You're talking about relatively minor changes in price. Atlassian may actually be cheap. It's kind of been dead money for a while. I don't know what's going to happen if the president, depending on what the market's going to do, depending on who the president's going to be. I don't have a crystal ball. I left it in jail. Sorry. The same institutions don't necessarily play in both markets. That's not true. Dealers do, but like most stock funds don't trade bonds and vice versa. You had to kind of learn the craft over time. You had to get through the 𝗏𝗏 period. Learned about concentration, hopefully like Cassava guys. We'll learn it too. He almost lost his whole firm over Cassava. No, not over Cassava, over 𝗏𝗏𝗏. And I'm happy he made it out. Now he's got a very large and flourishing firm, and that's good. Buffett's discount rate is a little more complicated. When Buffett does discount rate, he thinks about his cost of capital, which is basically 0. And he's really thinking about risks of the cash flows coming in. We need our discount rates to be really high because we want to be satisfied with only the highest returns, right? You only want to buy stocks where like the discount rate is like 20%, it's still good. Because that means you'll make 20% a year and still make money. I haven't looked at 𝗙𝗏𝗏𝗘𝗏 in a while. Atlassian's such an amazing company. I mean, selling vol doesn't make, if you're bearish on vol might go down, you make money. If you're bearish on vol and vol goes up, you lose money. I mean, on sellers, if the mechanism of action has been proven to not work, there's very little you can do usually to redeem that. If the mechanism doesn't work, some other drug that has the same mechanism with a slightly different, if at all different, profile, it's not gonna make a difference. AML is a tough disease. Have a 𝗏𝗏 vaccine, extend survival is a little bit of a stretch. Seems very unlikely. It almost never happens in medicine. You need a really active agent. Like the last drug to make a difference in AML was FLT3, and that was like really surgically designed for FLT3 mutations. And with FLT3 mutations, there's still limits to that therapy, even with the perfect match of like, okay, you have a FLT3 activating mutation, and we have a perfect FLT3 inhibitor, and there's still lots of controversy there in terms of getting that to work. It's super hard to move the needle on AML. Those patients are really, really sick, and they have a lot of things going wrong with them. There's a lot of different mutations driving that disease, and WT1 is just one of potentially dozens of mutations. So I don't know how even. It always helps, but it's not really this like central thing. And you would, if you did have a good WT1 drug, you would want them to be WT1 sensitive patients. A lot of those patients have absolutely nothing. WT1 has absolutely nothing to do with their tumor. So you don't know if WT1 is overactive in those patients. So right then and there, half the patients you're not going to have any difference in. So how are you going to show survival and you can kind of see that in AML, it's all over the place. Like there's no survival you can eyeball and say, oh, this survival is really good, open label, because like we saw so many different numbers for CR1. It was like, sometimes you saw this really big number, sometimes you saw this really short number, and it was like, really depends on a lot of things. How long those people will live is a function of so many different things. It's not really that simple to just eyeball one study and say, oh, these people are going to live this long, but they lived that long, so the controlled trial will work. That's pretty dangerous because only way you can really tell is a controlled trial, and this is their first real controlled trial, and the basic science is the only real thing we have to go on. That's the other piece of work I want to do, is some basic science work. Well, Atlassian has a ton of cash flow. I think the stock-based comp is kind of it's not always clear how to treat that. It's starting to look quite cheap. It's a really smart management team. I don't see why it can't be triple. The company can't triple over time. It's like one of the best software companies ever. Yeah, see, the stock's just been kind of in the gutter for a while, even though the earnings and revenue and all that have grown. It's kind of incredible, right? Look how efficient the market is. In 2020, the market knew how much growth you would get in Atlassian, and same price, 5 years. Yeah, I'll do some more work on 𝗏𝗏 later, but for now, I'm shorted. I haven't looked at Medpace in a while. I thought they got acquired. I guess they got IPO'd again. I think basically when you buy an index fund, you're making a macro call. If you have absolutely no other option, maybe, that I think you can keep your money in a mattress too. Nobody forces you to invest, right? You decide to get into the arena on your own. You're a gladiator, right? You're stepping into the arena. You want to make returns. So does everyone else. Not that easy. I never made a cure for P&H. No, that's Atlassian. I was an Atlassian shareholder. That doesn't make me. There are countries where stocks can go up for long periods of time. You know, I'm already sort of proven right by many different countries where stocks don't go up over the long run. There have been many countries, and I've given those examples, where stock market got canceled. It just closed one day and it never opened again. So why do you think that can't happen here or anywhere else? It can, and it probably will. It may happen past your, I think short-only funds are stupid. It may happen past your, you know, I don't know, expiration date, but just from their very structure, stocks are not some magic tool that automatically makes them appreciate value. It doesn't make any sense. They have to be coupled with a growing country, with permissive regulation, with a good monetary policy. Like, it's so stupid to say stocks go up for the long run. Well, why? Why should they? You know, American stocks have done very well, fine. But America's also been a fantastic country with great currency. It's the best currency in the world for now. You know, all that can change in a heartbeat. You know, if there's a global war all of a sudden over Israel or something like that. I mean, we don't know. We just don't know what'll happen. Over Taiwan, whatever. You know, it could be the beginning of the end of America. Every great empire falls. I hope our empire doesn't fall soon, but it could fall. No, some companies can't choose the best country. A lot of the world's economy is based on the US. That's kind of all we got. Most MNCs, most of their earnings are in the US. I never liked these Wall Street words. Catalyst, edge. Oh, Atlassian went from the 20Fs to the 10Ks. That's interesting. No, I've never used moving averages of prices in my decisions, no. Yeah, no, that's a good idea, MB. Shorting the basket of biotech stocks instead of shorting XBI. Either way. That's the whole idea. Hedging out beta is a good thing. You're not a beta predictor. If you're a beta predictor, you can just go predict beta for a living. You don't even need biotech stocks. Just trade futures. It's just suffered for so long. It's finally the right valuation. Yeah, I like Team. Kind of a brief update, but looks good to me. Amazing. Palantir's run is just amazing. I would definitely lighten up on the stock. It makes no sense at this price. Oh, also HUMA. HUMA's a good short. This looks like a 0, but I'm not sure on that either. I don't think the drug works. I think there are some funds that are generating alpha on the short side, but it's a good question. Shorts kind of burned everyone in biotech for a little while. Then shorts were really good. So I don't know. I think the managers just feel whipsawed and their investors don't care. Top 3 longs. Trying to find longs? I mean, I just gave you one. Team looks pretty good. Team, Fresh, Chegg, Tarsus, Madrigal. Madrigal's good. Chegg is a long. Yeah, Viking is good. Yeah, Alibaba's okay. It's just hard because any given year, for any biotech or any company that's not at scale, free cash flow, net income, none of those things are really accurate earnings power predictors. You're trying to predict real earnings. What could this company do if I owned it or if another company owned it? Not in its present configuration. Its present configuration, in many ways, doesn't matter. Right? What do I care if this company, take Atlassian, okay? Take Atlassian. If Microsoft bought Atlassian, right? Microsoft could get rid of half of Atlassian's costs. So Microsoft would be buying Atlassian for 13 times earnings, right? With 20% growth. So Atlassian is cheap. Oracle could buy Atlassian. Oracle doesn't have any products like that. Oracle could buy Atlassian for twice the price and still make it work. Teams doesn't really overlap with Atlassian. Teams would integrate with Atlassian really well. There's 4 clusters for AML. Interesting. This is this hypothesis. This is not well established. But this is a really nice clustering of genetic and other omics, not just genetic. Yeah, so you can see just within AML, you can have a massively different survival based on genetic prognosis. You got guys living 9 months, and you guys got guys living 27 months, just based on a couple of 2 or 3 genes. 𝗙𝗏𝗘𝗢𝗏, I don't think you get too much. That's pretty rare. So massive difference in survival based on very small changes. The same disease, right? So really large changes. It says WT1 7%, by the way, here. It's not too many people. I think the probability is very low. And they show here that WT1 mutation is not clinically significant, but age is the best prognostic factor, followed by white blood cell count. Only DNMT3A was relevant here. But again, these are mutation survival charts. I think that's generally what's going on with the disease more than anything. And remember, WT1 can act as a tumor suppressor as well. It's not necessarily clear that you want to suppress, that you want to eliminate it, although it does certainly seem to be correlated with low survival. It could be because the body is trying to express WT1 to stop a tumor. I don't know. I don't think so. But we looked at this paper briefly. It was cited by 250. That's a lot, actually. I don't know what you could do about regulatory capture if it's really affecting you that much. Sounds like an individual thing. There is no Albanian biopharm scene. Albania does not have a stock market. There's like one Balkan stock market in Belgrade. Yeah, no CRs in this trial of a WT1 vaccine. So yeah, I mean, I don't see how the drug is any different from those other drugs. In fact, they have the same adjuvant. One of the hard things about vaccines is getting an immune response. It's very hard to get an immune response. Most cancer vaccines have been voodoo, yeah. It says here that WT1 recruits TET2 to suppress leukemia cell proliferation. You don't want to suppress it. I know, you gotta be patient on Cassava. It's literally 3 months away. You can't wait 3 months to make 50+%? Yeah, there's no real model to make on Cassava other than getting your notes together on the drug. And you can look at mine on GitHub. So just download mine as maybe a start, or do your own. Cassava, it's a drug company that had their chief scientific officer arrested, their CEO resigned, and the drug doesn't work. But there's a bunch of, just be careful, don't lose all your money just